I used to stand in front of the mirror every morning and quietly hate my hair before I even touched a brush. Thin, flat at the crown, see-through at the part, and every stylist just kept trimming the same length like that was somehow going to fix it. It never did. Today I'm showing you 3 short haircuts that actually work with fine, thinning hair instead of fighting it. The exact cuts that create real fullness, real movement, and real face framing softness, without a single extension or thickening spray. I research the best cuts, colors, and styling fixes for women over 60 every single week, so you don't have to guess what actually works. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, do it now. I share a new one of these every week. Part 1. The Silver Pixie with the Soft Side Fringe. Most women think a pixie cut needs thick hair to look good. It's actually the opposite. A pixie is one of the only cuts where thin hair works in your favor, because there's less weight pulling the crown flat. The mistake almost every stylist makes with fine hair is cutting a pixie too short and too blunt all over. That leaves nothing for the hair to do except lie down against the scalp, and you end up looking more thin instead of less. You've probably had this exact cut before and walked out feeling like it made things worse, not better. The fix is a soft, longer pixie with graduated layers left at the crown and a side-swept fringe that breaks across the forehead instead of sitting straight. The crown layers are cut at an angle, not straight across, so each piece has just enough length to lift and hold air underneath it instead of collapsing flat. That trapped air is what reads as volume. It's not about how much hair you have, it's about how the cut lets what you have stand up. The side fringe does something most women don't expect. Instead of drawing a hard line across your forehead, it moves diagonally, which softens the whole face and pulls the eye toward your cheekbones instead of straight down at your part line. That diagonal line is the actual secret. A straight fringe on fine hair looks thin and stark, but an angled one looks deliberate and full. Here's what actually changes when you get this right. People stop looking at your part line first. They look at your eyes, because the fringe is doing exactly what good framing is supposed to do. It directs attention instead of exposing scalp. That's the entire difference between a pixie that ages you and one that makes you look like you know exactly what you're doing. Styling this takes about 4 minutes. Rough dry with your fingers, lifting at the roots as you go. Then use a small round brush only at the fringe to set the diagonal sweep. No flat product, no heavy gel. Anything that weighs the hair down undoes the whole cut. A light mousse at the roots before drying is the only product this style actually needs, because volume that comes from styling technique lasts, and volume that comes from product alone falls out by noon. I want you to picture the split for a second. Before, a blunt, flat pixie that sits against the scalp and makes thinning look worse. After, the same length of hair, cut with angled layers and a diagonal fringe, standing up at the crown and framing the face instead of exposing it. Same amount of hair. Completely different read. But the pixie isn't right for every face, and it definitely isn't the only cut that can pull off this trick. There's a second style that does almost the same thing for volume, except it works even if you're not ready to go that short, and it starts with something most stylists get completely backwards at the root. Part 2. The root lift bob that cheats volume. If you're not ready for a pixie, this next cut gives you almost the exact same illusion of thickness while keeping length around your jaw and chin. It's called a root lift bob, and it's built entirely around one cutting technique that has nothing to do with length and everything to do with weight distribution. Here's the part nobody explains to you. A standard one-length bob puts all the weight of the hair at the very bottom edge. On thick hair that creates a nice blunt line. On fine hair, all that weight just drags the top flat and leaves you with a shape that looks heavier at the bottom and thinner everywhere else, which is the opposite of what you actually want at this stage. The fix moves the weight up instead of down. Your stylist point cuts the top layer of hair shorter and thins it out with a razor, which removes bulk right at the root without shortening the overall length. What's left underneath stays fuller and heavier, so it naturally pushes the shorter top layer upward. You end up with lift exactly where you need it, at the crown and the root, while the bottom line still falls at your jaw looking clean and intentional. This is the same principle hairdressers use on runway models with naturally thick hair, just reversed. Instead of removing bulk to make thick hair lighter, we're removing bulk from the top only, so fine hair gets pushed up instead of weighed down. It's a redistribution trick, not a length trick, and it's why two women can have a bob the same length, and one looks full while the other looks flat. The result shows up the second you catch yourself in a store window. Instead of your reflection reading thin hair, long face, it reads shape, structure, done on purpose. That's the actual result of moving weight upward. It changes what people register about your hair in the half-second before they even look at your face. Blow-drying this bob is different from a normal round brush routine. You dry upside down for the first 2 minutes to break the direction the hair naturally falls, then flip up and finish with the brush lifting straight up from the root, not pulling the hair forward or down. A texturizing spray at the root, never at the ends, which just makes fine hair look crunchy, is the only product this cut asks for. Before, a one-length bob with all its weight dragging the crown flat. After, the exact same length, point cut and razored at the top, lifting instead of dragging. It's not a different haircut, so much as the same haircut done by someone who actually understands where fine hair loses its shape. There's a third cut that goes even further than this one. And it's the one most women over 60 are afraid to ask for, because they think it needs perfectly even, healthy hair to pull off. It doesn't. If anything, it hides damage better than either of the first two. Part 3. The face framing crop with feathered layers. This last cut gets requested constantly and cancelled just as often, because women hear cropped and picture something severe. What it actually is the softest of the three. A short crop with feathered, irregular layers concentrated around the face instead of evenly through the whole head. The nervousness makes sense. Most of us picture a crop as one uniform length, cut close and precise, which on fine hair can look sparse and a little unfinished, especially near the temples where hair is often thinnest to begin with. That's the version that scares people off, and honestly it should. It's not the right cut for this hair type. The version that actually works uses feathering, irregular, textured layers cut with a slicing motion instead of a straight blunt line. And they're concentrated specifically around the face, from the temple down to the jaw. Everywhere else, the cut stays a little longer and fuller. That contrast is the whole trick. Shorter, softer pieces near your face where light hits first, and slightly more length behind them for coverage and body. Feathered ends do something blunt ends can't. Because each piece ends at a slightly different length, the eye can't find a hard line anywhere, which means it can't register thin the way it does with an even, uniform edge. Irregular length reads as texture. Uniform length on fine hair reads as sparse. That's the entire physics of why this works. Once this is finished, here's what actually happens. The temple area, which is usually the first place fine hair thins visibly, gets covered by movement instead of exposed by a flat line. You stop feeling like you need to angle your head a certain way in photos. That one small shift, not having to think about your hairline anymore, is worth more than almost any other change on this list. Styling is the simplest of the three cuts. Air dry it about 80% of the way, scrunching gently with your fingers to encourage the natural fall of the feathered pieces. Then finish the last 20% with a diffuser on low heat. No brush needed at all. Brushing feathered layers flattens the exact texture the cut was built to create. A texture cream, warmed between your palms and pressed, never dragged through the ends, is the only product step. Before, a uniform crop, sparse and exposed at the temples. After, the same short length, feathered and concentrated around the face, covering exactly the spot that used to give the thinning away. Nothing about the length changed, only where the cut puts its attention. All three of these cuts work because of one shared technique most women have never even heard named. The actual detail that determines whether any short cut on fine hair looks thicker or thinner, no matter which of the three you pick. Part 4. The one cutting detail that decides everything. Here's something that might genuinely surprise you. The difference between a short cut that makes fine hair look fuller and one that makes it look worse usually comes down to a single technique, where and how the stylist cuts the ends. It's not the shape of the cut at all. It's something called point cutting, and almost nobody asks for it by name. Most stylists cut fine hair the exact same way they'd cut thick hair. Straight across, with sharp shears creating one clean blunt edge. On thick hair that blunt edge looks polished. On fine hair, that same blunt edge does something almost nobody expects. It makes the ends look thinner, not thicker, because a straight line forces every strand to end at exactly the same spot. And with less hair per strand, that spot reads as sparse instead of solid. Point cutting fixes this by holding the scissors vertically instead of horizontally and cutting upward into the ends in small, irregular strokes, rather than straight across. This breaks up that single flat line into dozens of tiny, uneven microlengths. Each strand ends at a slightly different point, which visually overlaps with the strands next to it. And that overlap is what your eye reads as density, even though the actual number of hairs hasn't changed at all. This is the detail that separates a cut that photographs beautifully from one that looks thin the moment you catch your reflection in a store window. It's also why two women can walk out of two different salons with what looks like the same haircut on paper, and one looks noticeably fuller than the other. The shape was identical. The cutting technique underneath it wasn't. The moment you see the difference, you'll wonder why nobody explained this sooner. Fullness isn't only about the shape of the cut, the pixie, the bob, or the crop from earlier in this video. It's about whether the ends were finished with scissors that respect how fine hair actually catches light. Blunt ends absorb light in one flat plane. Point cut ends scatter it across dozens of tiny angles, and scattered light is exactly what reads to the human eye as thickness. The next time you sit in the chair, this is the one sentence to say out loud before your stylist ever picks up the shears. Ask specifically for point cutting or razor texturizing at the ends, on whichever of the three shapes you choose. Most stylists will do it automatically once you ask. Very few will offer it if you don't, simply because it takes a few extra minutes and most clients never request it. Before, a straight, blunt edge making fine ends look sparse under any direct light. After, the same length, point cut into dozens of overlapping microlengths that scatter light and red as thickness. One request at your next appointment, and every cut we just walked through works even better than it already does. So now you've got three cuts that were built specifically for fine thinning hair: the pixie with the diagonal fringe, the root lift bob, and the feathered face framing crop. Plus the one cutting technique that makes every single one of them work better the moment you ask for it by name. That's not luck or good genetics. That's just knowing what to request in the chair. Which of these three are you bringing to your next appointment? The pixie, the bob, or the crop? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Next week I'm breaking down the exact color placement that makes gray grow out look intentional instead of patchy, so you'll want to be here for that one. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.